All right, so this is our menu for today. Lots of interesting stuff. First, we're going to be looking at how to exploit stories for language lessons. How they provide a context. Then we'll be looking at some phonology and how to teach, do fun activities that involve single sounds. Each of these should take about an hour approximately in length, all right? Then for our break, we'll have 30 minutes probably. After the break, we'll be looking at how to set up activities with young learners. And finally, adapting and supplementing course books for young learners. Hopefully all of these subjects is going to be intertwined so that there's going to be, you'll be able to make links between phonology and exploiting stories and setting up activities and so on. All right, so let's start with a story, okay? So for this, you're going to need the first handout that I sent you, which looks like this. I'll send it again through the chat. It's called Storytelling Handout. Welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. Hi, guys.
So here's the handout for today for the first part. So we're going to start with a story. I'm going to use a video, and it's a popular children's story, Tiger Who Came to Tea. And I'd like you to watch the video and decide what is the correct order of the pictures. So you've got 6 pictures. You've got to decide which comes first. All right. Here you can see in A, it looks like a tiger playing an instrument. Then he's in the kitchen eating from the pots in the kitchen. He's then drinking tea. In C, D looks like she's cleaning up some mess. E, he's in the pantry, raiding the pantry. And F looks like they're having tea together. The young girl, who's called Sophie, and her mother. Now, this is a British story, so there's certain things that you might notice as being peculiar to that country. One of them is milkman, as a guy who delivers the milk. And in fact, in the United Kingdom, we don't really see those guys anymore because most people buy their milk from the supermarkets. And there's the grocer, the boy from the grocer. He delivers groceries on his bike. Okay, so let's watch and put the pictures in order, yeah? You clear about what you're going to do? Any doubts?
No.
Okay. Let's watch. Takes about 3 minutes.
The Tiger Who Came to Tea. Once there was a little girl called Sophie, and she was having tea with her mummy in the kitchen. Suddenly, there was a ring at the door. "Oh," Sophie's mummy said, "I wonder who that can be. It can't be the milkman, because he came this morning. And it can't be the boy from the grocer, because this isn't the day he comes. And it can't be Daddy, because he's got his key. We'd better open the door and see.
I wonder who that can be.
Sophie opened the door, and there was a big, furry, stripy tiger.
Do you think I could have tea with you?
Sophie's mummy said, "Of course, come in." So the tiger came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a sandwich?" But the tiger didn't just take one sandwich. He took all the sandwiches on the plate and swallowed them in one big mouthful. Oh, and he still looked hungry, so Sophie passed him the buns. But again, the tiger didn't eat just one bun. He ate all the buns on the dish, and then he ate all the biscuits and all the cake until there was nothing left to eat on the table. So Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a drink?" And the tiger drank all the milk in the milk jug and all the tea in the teapot. And then he looked round the kitchen to see what else he could find. He ate all the supper that was cooking in the saucepans, and all the food in the fridge, and all the packets and tins in the cupboard, and he drank all the milk and all the orange juice and all Daddy's beer and all the water in the tap. Then he said, "Thank you for my nice tea. I think I'd better go now." And he went. Sophie's mummy said, "I don't know what to do. I've got nothing for Daddy's supper. The tiger has eaten it all." And Sophie found she couldn't have her bath because the tiger had drunk all the water in the tap. Just then Sophie's daddy came home. So Sophie and her mummy told him what had happened and how the tiger had eaten all the food and drunk all the drink. And Sophie's daddy said, "I know what we'll do. I've got a very good idea. We'll put on our coats and go to a cafe." So they went out in the dark and all the street lamps were lit and all the cars had their lights on, and they walked down the road to a cafe. And they had a lovely supper with sausages and chips and ice cream. In the morning, Sophie and her mummy went shopping and they bought lots more things to eat. And they also bought a very big tin of tiger food in case the tiger should come to tea again. But he never did.
Right. Pesky tiger. Right, so please in the chat, please put the order of the images. Yes, F was first. CB. EDA, that's correct, Anna Maria. Yeah, there you go. Great. Now, as you were watching, can you remember which of these techniques did the storyteller use? Now, not all of them apply in this story because it was like a video story rather than a face-to-face story. Which do you think he used?
That not apply in the story, or
Well,
yes?
some of them don't apply. Like, so the storyteller didn't use gestures, right? Because we couldn't see.
Yeah, for example, they use the sound effects. We don't have the sound effects.
Oh, well, we heard music though, didn't we? And didn't we hear like the
Okay.
like maybe the
I
water?
was thinking like the sounds like for drink, like glug 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 glug, and something like that.
But
No.
wasn't there a door opening as well? Like when the door
Yeah.
opens. Yeah. So I would say yeah, there was sound effects there. What about varying your voice for different parts of the story? Did she
Yeah.
vary her voice? Can you give any examples?
Like when the girl like no, when the tiger talks.
Yes. Could I have some tea?
Yeah.
So yes. So and also that was different voices for different characters, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So gestures, not really.
No.
Eye contact, not really, because it was
No.
a yeah. Did it involve the students?
I don't know.
No.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay. So that was maybe one problem with
On the facial
with the
expressions.
video, yes.
Yeah.
When it's pure video, is that you can't
Yeah.
do those. So that might be one thing to consider when you're telling a story. Is like don't always rely on videos. No. But later we'll I'll actually tell you a story, and you'll see some of these other features. Okay, but what we're really focused on today is the language. Which aspects of grammar structures, vocabulary, and pronunciation would you choose to focus students' attention on after the storytelling? Okay, so Anna Maria, tell us which age group are you teaching at the moment?
Like 7 to 9 years.
Are you? You're teaching 7 to 9 years. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'd like you to focus on this age range, right?
Okay.
Anna
Perfect.
Maria. Yeah. Paula isn't teaching any age group, but maybe you could focus on the older age group. Yeah. Paula.
Okay.
Paula, so you do
Yes.
11 to 12, yeah? Is that okay, Paula?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So consider that age group, and I think we'll watch the video again and try and make notes of the language that you could get the students to notice in the story that might be useful to them. Okay, and then I'll show you an example of a lesson plan that involves the exploitation of this story. Okay, so as you're watching, please make some notes about the language you could use. You know, it could be the vocabulary, the food vocabulary. Now, let's play. Here we go. Again.
Who came to tea. Once there was a little girl called Sophie, and she was having tea with her mummy in the kitchen. Suddenly, there was a ring at the door. Oh, Sophie's mummy said, "I wonder who that can be. It can't be the milkman, because he came this morning. And it can't be the boy from the grocer, because this isn't the day he comes. And it can't be Daddy, because he's got his key. We'd better open the door and see."
I wonder who that can be.
Sophie opened the door, and there was a big, furry, stripy tiger.
Do you think I could have tea with you?
Sophie's mummy said, "Of course, come in." So the tiger came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a sandwich?" But the tiger didn't just take one sandwich, He took all the sandwiches on the plate and swallowed them in one big mouthful. Oh, and he still looked hungry, so Sophie passed him the buns. But again, the tiger didn't eat just one bun. He ate all the buns on the dish, and then he ate all the biscuits and all the cake until there was nothing left to eat on the table. So Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a drink?" And the tiger drank all the milk in the milk jug and all the tea in the teapot. And then he looked round the kitchen to see what else he could find. He ate all the supper that was cooking in the saucepans, and all the food in the fridge, and all the packets and tins in the cupboard, and he drank all the milk and all the orange juice and all Daddy's beer and all the water in the tap. Then he said, "Thank you for my nice tea. I think I'd better go now." And he went. Sophie's mummy said, "I don't know what to do. I've got nothing for Daddy's supper. The tiger has eaten it all." And Sophie found she couldn't have her bath because the tiger had drunk all the water in the tap. Just then Sophie's daddy came home. So Sophie and her mummy told him what had happened and how the tiger had eaten all the food and drunk all the drink. And Sophie's daddy said, "I know what we'll do. I've got a very good idea. We'll put on our coats and go to a cafe." So they went out in the dark and all the street lamps were lit and all the cars had their lights on, and they walked down the road to a cafe. And they had a lovely supper with sausages and chips and ice cream. In the morning, Sophie and her mummy went shopping and they bought lots more things to eat. And they also bought a very big tin of tiger food in case the tiger should come to tea again. But he never did.
Right, so let's put some of your ideas on the whiteboard. So we've got our younger age group and our older age group. Maybe we could have Oh, thank you very much. Is this you, Anna Maria? Good.
You're welcome.
But okay, yeah, that's kind of relevant. How about some pronunciation and some vocabulary? What vocabulary could you use? Welcome, Christian. We just watched the video again, and I'm asking Anna Maria to tell us what language could be exploited in the text with a younger age group and an older age group, and what language could we use for both age groups. So think of not just grammar, but also pronunciation and vocabulary. And maybe some skills work as well. So speaking skills. Paolo, what did you have so far?
I don't know if I am okay. I identify different modal verbs. Would, could, but for example, when you say system for not use single, what is the meaning of that?
Well, remember, systems are grammar, vocab, pronunciation. But we can also consider the story from a skills perspective. So we could consider whether it could be used for reading, development, or speaking, or indeed writing. But it's okay if we just focus on the language, on grammar, vocab, and pronunciation first, because that's the kind of the most obvious, isn't it? So you mentioned modal verbs, right?
Yes.
Can you write on there? Good, thank you. Anything else?
I don't know what I'm going to write in pronunciation.
All right. What about you, Paula? Anything else that you could draw their attention to apart from modal verbs? What about, if you're worried about pronunciation, then it could be something like sentence stress.
Okay.
Yeah. But for the older age group, I'm going to help you a little bit. I noted down past simple or present perfect. It's a lot of past simple, but that equally you can cover that in the older age group and the younger age group. And maybe some speculation. It can't be, right? It can't be the grocer. It can't be the milkman because he comes on Tuesday. There's some intonation, especially for inviting and requesting. Do you think I could have a cup of tea? Would you like some tea? Huh? And I think possibly you could teach that at both age groups, because we don't have to focus the students on the grammar aspects. We can teach this language as chunks. Yeah. Now, for the vocabulary, we could also have, you mentioned food, but let's give some specific examples. All right. How about countable and uncountable nouns?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Like water, milk, sausages. Also, the pronunciation of these words, sausages. The AGES is pronounced ij, sausage. So we can also, when we're working on the vocabulary, we can also be working on the pronunciation of these individual words. And no one, did anyone mention jobs? like postman or milkman or mailman, right? Some of these are a bit British, but you could try and elicit from them what would be the American equivalent. How about some quantifiers? In there you can hear nothing, anything. There was nothing left. How about some storytelling language? So you can like get the students to tell their own stories. Once there was, yeah. They used that expression right at the beginning, didn't they? Once there was. Yeah, good. I'm going to give you an example lesson plan. Here we go. So this is a suggested lesson that you could use with the younger age group, as young as 6 to 7. All right, so I'll read the box part. Okay, so the topic is food. The additional resources are the storybook and some flashcards of 8 target vocabulary food items. These should be quite easy to find. Yeah, so it could be because they're having cake, should be easy. What else do they have? Cake was the main thing. What else does he eat? Oh, he eats some tomatoes, some cabbage, some chicken, milk. Tins or cans in the cupboard. Water, beer, orange juice. Tiger eats them all, right? So learning outcomes, the tiger, the children practice and learn the topic vocabulary: milk, cakes, water, biscuits, sandwich, sausages, cheese, and eggs. Previous learning, this assumes that children are used to listening to stories and working with flashcards, possible problems and solutions. The storybook is authentic, so language is not graded or selected. I will need to simplify some of the language. I may use the first language to explain milkman, having tea, and grocer boy if the children are confused. Children will get excited after the flashcard game and will need settling before the end of the class. Assessment evidence. I'll know if they have learned food vocabulary when they have to say target words in the memory flashcard game at the end of the class. So let's have a look at the procedures. Christian, could you kindly read out the steps for the procedures?
Okay. Number 1, ask class to sit in a circle on the floor and brainstorm food vocabulary. 2, use food flashcards to check pronunciation of target words. 3, show class the storybook and ask them what is it about. It's about a tiger who visits a little girl for tea and eats all the food in the house. Number 4, tell the story prompting children to use target vocabulary. 5, ask the class to sit at their desk and put the food flashcards on the board. 6, tell the class to close their eyes. Remove one flashcard and ask them to put up hands to say which one it is. And 7, review language and finish class.
Ah. So do you like the look of that lesson? Does it look okay? Anna Maria, could you use that lesson with your age group?
And I use what?
Could you use this lesson with your age group?
Yeah, of course.
Would it work?
They will love that story.
Right. But do you think the language
The language
looks okay?
Yeah, but we need to, for example, in case of the pronunciation, in that way, maybe they are not going to understand the story because it's like the milk or something like that. So they are more like milk. The milk.
Okay,
Or
but you've got the pictures as well, though,
Like
so
that.
you get the
Yeah.
meaning across like that, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, in that way we can help them.
All right. Cool. Now let's have a look at some reasons for using stories. Yeah. So let's do the first one together. So the first question is, what's the difference, looking at our handout, what is the difference between storytelling and reading or reading aloud? Do you tell stories in the classroom? How do you feel about using stories in the classroom? So let's try and answer these together. Does anyone know what the difference is between storytelling and reading or reading aloud?
Yes.
Well, okay, so what is it? What is the difference? Can you explain?
I'm not sure, but it's like storytelling. It's like somebody is telling the story. In reading, you can read, but it doesn't mean that you need to read aloud. And read aloud, it's for someone else. When you read for someone else.
Okay. All right. Let's try and answer that one. So storytelling sort of implies that the story is told from memory rather than being read from a book or a piece of paper. It suggests the use of drama and different voices to increase interest and engage with the learners. There may be also more interaction with the listeners in the form of questions so that you can actually ask questions to the audience. And in the next session, we're going to be looking at some of these types of techniques. Yeah. So, whereas reading is very often an individual matter, silent and to yourself, and reading aloud, well, that might be like reading a piece of poetry, right? Poetry is often designed to be read aloud in front of an audience. Yeah. It's not exactly a story, is it? Yeah. So storytelling is quite an archaic form of narrative. Usually it's usually comes from pre-literate civilizations, right? So, for example, I don't know, the Vikings or the Saxons in Europe, they used to rely on storytelling from memory. Why? Because they didn't have these stories written down. Yeah. So it's a very old form of narrative, isn't it? Storytelling tends to be told from memory. Okay. And what about any of you guys? Do you have any experience of telling stories with your students? Do you tell stories in the classroom?
No,
Anna Maria, I guess you're the one that Anna Maria is the one that is most involved with younger learners, right?
Yeah.
And do you tell stories in the classroom?
Yeah, sometimes yes. Well, for example, today we read a story, but we need to relate it with another topic, and we need to take out some topics from there. So we need to tell stories to them.
And how do you feel about using stories in the classroom?
I'm happy. They are so happy with all the stories. Also today I play a story. It was it was about a frog. So they were so excited to know about the story and what is going to happen with that frog and all of that.
Good. So it's something that students enjoy, mainly probably because they don't feel like they're studying English, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something more because it's so context related. It's like it doesn't feel like they're actually studying language so much. So that is a great benefit, isn't it? So, I mean, that might be one reason why it's a good idea to use stories in the classroom. So, I think I'd like each one of us to try to answer these questions on the worksheet here. I'm going to give you like a minute to think about the question before you answer. So, Christian, which one would you like to answer? Which of these 4 questions?
Why is it a good idea to use stories in the classroom?
Okay, all right. So I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes just to think about your answer to that. Anna Maria, which question will you answer?
How can you use stories in the classroom?
All right. Okay, great. Paula, which question will you answer?
Which stories can you use?
Oh, great. Yes. Okay. And then I will do this one here. What useful language is there? Okay, so I'll give you 1 to 2 minutes to prepare. I'll start the clock. So, yeah, I mean, you can research if you wish on the internet. Ask ChatGPT, whatever, yeah. Okay, so let's return. Which stories can you use in the classroom? I think that was, who was that?
Me.
Okay, tell us.
I suppose depends on the genre, like a comic, science fiction, fairy tale, or kind of stories who teach value. I don't know if I'm right.
Okay, but can you give any specific examples? So you mentioned values, right? So morality tales, or maybe fables, fabulas.
Okay,
Yeah,
fables.
yeah. Okay, yeah. All right, so I've got some on a list. I've got a list here. I will show you. Which stories can you use? Okay, so let's get this on board. So you could use the ones that are provided by your course books. You could use family stories. Maybe your family. Or your own personal stories. You could use news stories from newspapers. Modern ones. But you can also go for history stories. Traditional stories like myths and legends. And I think fabulas or fables would go into that category. When I was teaching at the British Council as a young learners teacher, I would I learn about lots of good books that are good for teaching stories. Here's a good one, Where the Wild Things Are, by Maurice Sendak. This is like a classic. I got this for my son. He's now too old for this sort of thing, but there was a good film made on this. About this, it's about a child that goes on adventures from his bedroom, and he goes to a place where all these monsters. He makes friends with the monsters. So that's one. Another good one, I think, is We're Going on a Bear Hunt. It's all about a family that goes in search of a bear. And it's great because there's lots of repetition in it. Lots of verse. I'll give you an example. This is from the first few pages. It says, we're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. We're not scared. Oh no, What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh, grass. Long wavy grass. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. Oh no, we've got to go through it. Huh? So it's all about rhythm and stress. It's very good. And you can focus on some of the different sounds of English. Swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, to describe the going through the grass. And then it continues. Lots of repetition to help internalize these structures, right? Like the present continuous. We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Huh? And you should be able to, you can find the video of this on YouTube. It's a good one to use. Good contemporary ones are things like, oh yes, the Gruffalo. And it's about a mouse who goes on a walk in the forest, and he's confronted by this rather ugly monster called the Gruffalo, and he outwits the monster. Kids usually like monsters, don't they? And the monster has, it's good for adjectives, terrible tusks, terrible claws, terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. Gruffalo, that's a good one. So anything by Julia Donaldson is a very good children's author. And there's lots of rhyming in this. Good for pronunciation. And the illustrations are excellent. There's another good one called Stickman. Yeah. And nice.
Andrew,
Worth considering. Yes.
all that books are authentic materials?
Yes, they're all authentic because they're not originally designed for the language classroom, right? They're originally designed for children first language. Yeah, so it's not second language, it's not language teaching, it's first language. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's continue. So who was doing? Where are we? Oh, yes. How can you use stories in the classroom? Who was that?
Ana Maria, she went to the bathroom.
Okay. Christian, could you talk about your thing then?
About that question?
Yeah, which question did you cover?
Okay. Why is it a good idea to use stories in the classroom? Because you and catch their attention with a story, and they learn vocabulary in a simple way because they are going to see in the book the vocabulary and the picture. And maybe because some stories can improve their creativity, and also the stories can connect with their experiences.
Excellent. Yes, those are all very good reasons. Yeah, so this was your question, right? Why is it a good idea to use stories in the classroom? So in the book, English for Primary Teachers, Mary Slattery and Willis say that stories help children relate new things to what they know already. That's very much part of the constructivist theory of learning. Relate what's new to what they know already. Help the children to look at real life from different viewpoints. Imagine what it feels like to be someone else. They can introduce the child to other cultures and attitudes. They can let children share their experiences with the group. Everyone listens and feels sad or happy. Here's another very good reason. They can link to other subjects the child is learning about in school. Right? So if you find out that your Spanish teacher is teaching a story in Spanish, maybe there's an English version of it. Right? That will help sort of make linkages between the languages. They can help students with their thinking skills. And as you mentioned, Christian, they are fun, enjoyable, interesting. So all of that and more. Anna Maria, are you back? It's okay. Well, I'll cover my part then, which was what useful language for storytelling is there? Are there any common phrases you might use regularly? Yeah, well, we covered one today, didn't we? Once there was, right, to introduce the story. But there's more. So we've got starting phrases such as I'm going to read or tell you a story. We're going to listen to a story now. And there are sort of fixed phrases that reoccur, don't they? Like once upon a time, and they lived happily ever after. Like, oh, and like the ones in Shrek, right? Far, far away, muy, muy lejano. Yeah. There's also questions to involve your audience and check the learners understand. What do you think happened next? What did he say? Why did he do that? And they're questions for learners to predict the story. What will he do next? What will happen? Okay, so let's try and answer Anna Maria's. She was doing, what was it? How can you use stories in the classroom? That's a good question. So, now, how can you use that? Well, they can be used in many different ways. So there's listening practice. Remember that every time the teacher uses English, you're giving the opportunity to students to acquire language and absorb sounds and intonation patterns. Now, according to the natural approach of English language teaching, students need lots and lots of exposure, right, to sounds and intonation patterns. We can use the stories for presenting new vocabulary or structures in a context. They can be used for giving children confidence in using English, and they can lead on to reading, writing, and speaking practice. So we've got lots of reasons for using them, haven't we? So, well, that's all we're going to do on storytelling today. We're going to return to the topic next week. And what we're going to do now is pass on to pronunciation. So we're going to focus on some activities to promote use of single sounds. Got a handout first. So I'm going to pass you the handout again. Okay, so we're going to need a handout called Evaluating Pronunciation Activities. Here we are. It's this one. Welcome back, Anna Maria. Welcome back.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so we're going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pronunciation activities. And they're all to do with single sounds, individual sounds. Okay, but they involve the students in different ways. Some are receptive, that they involve listening, mainly. Some are productive, in that they involve the students actually producing the sounds. Some are stirrers and some are settlers. What's the difference between a stirrer and a settler? Can you remember? What does a stirring activity make students do? Does it make them want to stand up and move around, or does it make them want to sit down? What do you think? Stirrer, does it make you want to get up and dance, or does it want to make you sit on your chair? What do you think? A stirrer. Can you remember? I think you probably looked at this term before. Come on, guys. Stirrer, does it make you relax, or does it make you run around?
I think make you relax, right?
No, it's the opposite.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a settler. Settler makes you relax. Yeah. So if you've got a very active group and you want them to calm down, you're making too much noise, we need to concentrate, then you do a settler. Yeah. Okay, so that's how we're going to evaluate these activities. All right. I'm going to put you into 2 groups, and you're going to I think I'm going to make you work. We're going to make you work into two groups, and you're going to decide whether the activities are receptive or productive, and whether they're a stirrer or a settler, and any potential problems with these activities. All right. But first, before we try and evaluate them, we need to read through the activities and like look at the procedures. All right. So that's what we'll do first. All right. Paula, could you read line jumping for us, please?
Sure. Line jumping. Two letters are to put on opposite sides of the board. Students line up in front of the board and two doors and jump on the left or right according to initial or end sounds. Start very simple with initial letter, tiger, 2, 10, territory, dog, duck. Move to final sounds. Sad, put, boot, not, mud, lad, sad, and bad. And more complex final sounds. Watch, helped, gained, and brain.
Yeah, so if they hear a t sound, they jump to the left. If they hear a d sound, they jump to the right. Huh? Christian, could you read basketball for us, please?
Basketball. Divide the students into two teams and give each team paper balls. Set up two bins or boxes labeled with letters or picture representation of sounds. Demo with B and V. Two contestants from each team stand at the throw line and listen to the tutor call out a word. Contestants threw their ball into the appropriate bin or box and score points for their team.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, you haven't finished, have you? Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bat, bet, vet, base, vase, bow, berry, best, vest, van, boat, bending.
Thank you. Anna Maria, could you read throwing a phoneme?
Yeah, throwing a phoneme. Students sit in a circle with teacher. Teacher mouths a letter sound to one student who most vocalize the sound. If they vocalize correctly, they choose a new sound to mouth to another student. This can easily be done with words and in pairs rather than whole group. Demo, teacher, students, teacher, student, students.
Uh-huh.
I continue with happy families.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, happy families. Divide the students into groups of 3 or 4. Each group divides a set of cards between them. The cards contain lexis with specific sounds in. Students try to collect a set of same sound cards by asking, have you got something beginning with CH, SH,
So that's
F, or what?
ch,
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 f, and s.
So, okay.
And could you read odd one out?
Yeah. Odd one out. The students identify which picture is the odd one out. Like example, house, mouse, shoe, cloud.
Okay, so there we've got the actual cards. This is happy families. Yeah. So they've got to collect like groups of with the same sound, right? So there you've got cheese, chocolate, chicken, and then you've got sheep, ship, shoe. So those three have the same sound. The first three have the same sound, which is ch, sh, sheep, shoe, and ship. Then you've got foot, fire, and fan. You've got sun, sandwich, and six. So the idea is that they have to try and collect families with the same sounds, right? Odd one out. So which is the odd one out in the first line? Can you tell?
So in that one, we need to put another.
Now, with the odd one out, you've got to decide which is the one that does not fit in the line. So you've got four here, right?
Okay, perfect.
Can you figure out which one it is that does not fit?
House, mouse, shoe, cloud. House, mouse, shoe, cloud. I think it's cloud.
Okay, what sound does cloud have? It's the ow sound, right? Ow. Ow, 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 ow. So in
And
terms
the
of
other is house, mouse,
Yeah.
shoe.
What do you think? You still think it's cloud?
Shoes.
It's shoe, isn't it? Yeah. Because the sound in shoe is let me just find the sound for you. Ooh. In shoe, it's this sound. Shoe. And in ow, in the other ones, it's the same sound and it's all ow. How do you say it? It's a diphthong, isn't it? Okay, this is where our phonemic chart comes in handy. So we might have to check at some point, get our phonemic chart out to check these. Let's get the phonemic chart. Okay, now in cloud, it's the AU sound here. You see this? So it's AU. Another useful tool is this phonemic typewriter. So the sound in cloud is this one. Ow. Huh? How can we check that that's true? Well, we've got the dictionary, right? Cambridge Dictionary online. So let's check cloud. We're not sure. It's nothing simpler than using the dictionary online. And in both US and UK, it's this, you can see it's this AU sound. Yeah.
Cloud. Cloud.
And the phoneme is that's the phonemic symbol. Yeah. Cloud. Whereas shoe is that sound. Now, what about this line, the second line? Christian, can you say the items?
Spoon, book, tooth, and moon.
Okay, so which is the odd one out?
Moon.
No.
No, I think it's book.
You're right, it's book. Okay, so if we look in the dictionary, if you're at all in doubt, you go to the dictionary, right?
Book. Book.
And it's this sound. Whereas the other ones are longer, aren't they? Remember? The longer vowel sound. So it's making the focus on the shorter vowel sound versus the longer vowel sound. We use these slashes to indicate that it's a phonemic symbol, right? So the sound in spoon and moon, even though it's written the same as book, yeah, it's pronounced differently, isn't it? That's the complexity, annoying part of English, isn't it? The pronunciation, inconsistencies. But that's the way it is. You've just got to get used to it, right? So there, the sound is oo.
Spoon. Spoon.
So the vowel sound there is that. Putting it into the worksheet. So guys, this is the kind of research you may have to do before you do teach prawn, yeah? Even with younger learners, you think it's going to be a cinch, but no, you've still got to check it. Yeah? And remember these two dots, what do they indicate? Does it mean a short sound or a longer vowel sound? The two dots, the little puntos, yeah? What do they indicate? Is it short sound or long sound? Short
Long.
or long? Long, yes. So you've got to go, ooh, spoon, tooth, moon. Contrasted with book, which is shorter, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to have you analyze then these activities, whether you think they're receptive or productive, or the stirrer or settler. So I'm going to put Anna Maria and Paula into a breakout room for like, I'll give you 10 minutes to do it. Yeah. If you find you've done it faster than that, then you can send me a message. All right. And I will work here in this room with Christian. Right. So,
Okay.
so Christian and Andrew, we're going to work on group A. Yeah. Okay, this is what it looks like. You've got a table. And you're just going to make short notes. Like that, right? So this is for me and Christian. And so if you finish, I'd like you to choose one of the activities. You imagine you have a class of 20 primary school students. Write the procedures for setting up the activity. And it can either be a face-to-face presential class or an online classroom like this. All right? Okay, so that's what we're doing for the next 10 or so minutes. I'll see how well you're getting on with that. So, Anna Maria and Paula, here is your link. Please click on to confirm you have it. Give me the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Paula?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So let's go to our breakout rooms. And we will stay here, Christian. Okay, so if you like, I can make the notes and you can just tell me what you think. So what do you think about line jumping? Is it receptive or productive? Think about whether it involves actually listening or actually producing the sounds. Is it a bit passive or is it more vocal?
It's more vocal, no? Receptive.
Well, it doesn't actually involve this. Do the students actually produce the sounds? And the answer is no, right? So does that make it receptive or productive?
The words, it's by the student.
Okay, let's look at the activity again. So you've got two letters on opposite sides of the board, the whiteboard. Students line up in front of the board and the teacher, and they jump to the left or to the right, according to the initial end or end sound that the teacher. So the teacher makes the sounds and the students jump.
Okay, but if the teacher is going to make the sound for the students, it could be more receptive, no?
That's right, yeah. That's totally right, yeah. So let's put that there. Do you think it's a stirrer or a settler?
It's stirrer.
Yeah, why?
Because they are going to move.
Yeah,
They
they're
are
jumping
going to
around,
jump.
aren't they? Yeah, they're jumping from side to side, yeah. Can you imagine that there would be any problems with this?
The students don't know the difference in between the two letters.
Okay, yeah. So some students end up they end up losing. Are out of the game early, right? Because they don't get it. So what do you do with those students? Yeah. So you got some students not doing anything. That could be a problem, couldn't it? Yeah. Then they can cause trouble. Also, do you think it's a quiet game or a noisy game?
No, it's not quiet.
Yeah, so it's potentially noisy, right?
Noisy, yes, very noisy.
So that could cause problems with other teachers, yeah?
Yes,
If you've got a class next door, right?
yes.
All right, let's move on to basketball. What do you think? Receptive or productive?
I think that it's also receptive because the teacher is going to make the sound, and
Yeah.
they are going to decide in what bin or box they are to score.
Yeah. That's right. Is it stirrer or settler?
Stirrer.
Yeah. This time it's throwing, isn't it? Yeah. Throwing paper balls. Any problems?
Any problems? It's the same. It's potentially noisy.
Good. Now, throwing a phoneme. Let's have a look at that one.
It's productive.
Yes. Why?
Because the teacher is going to give a word to the student, and the student needs to vocalize the sound.
Yeah. Good. Stirrer, settler.
Settler.
Yeah, because it involves sitting, doesn't it?
Yes.
Students are seated. Potential problems?
A problem when they need to repeat after the teacher, that they make a mistake with the pronunciation.
Yeah. All right. What about happy families?
Happy families. I think that it's productive.
Yeah, because they're making the sounds, aren't they? As
Yeah.
they, yeah. Is it stirrer, settler?
I don't know. Okay, it could be. It could be settler, no? Because they only want to say, "Have you got something beginning with?" But they don't move.
Right. So if students are seated, but you could have them mingling. So if they mingle, then it's a stirrer. Can you think of any problems?
I think the main problem when you work in two groups, it's that not all work on the activity.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
some
So
students-
maybe group work, some students might not participate.
yes.
Okay, and we're almost done. Odd one out.
That is productive. No. Okay. Ooh,
Sounds like it could be productive if they're making the sounds, right?
yeah, okay, yes.
Because they'd have to say them, wouldn't they?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say productive. Again, could it be if they're mingling, then it could be a stirrer. If it's a settler, then they'd be sitting down.
Yes.
Any potential problems?
The pronunciation with the sounds, maybe the phonemics.
And the sounds? Is that what you mean? Students
Yes.
might not realize the difference in the sounds.
Yes, like happened to me that I think that I say book are same that the others.
Okay, cool. Right, let's see what the ladies did. All right, let's compare our answers to the first part, shall we? Anna Maria and Paula, can you talk us through your table? Actually, how about you tell us about the first two and we'll tell you about the first three, see if we're different, yeah? So tell us about line jumping and basketball.
That we need a bigger space, not in the classroom could be. It will be in the playground.
Okay. And why do you say that both of those are receptive and they're also stirrers?
Because we look for which it is. So it is like with movement, they are listening the instructions. So they speak, they listen. So that's why it's receptive.
Yeah. Yeah, because it involves them listening to the teacher, right? And then doing actions.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that technique called total physical response?
No.
Well, this is a bit like total physical response, but applied to pronunciation. Total physical response is like where you receive an instruction and then you have to do the instruction. Okay, like walk over to the board and write on a T on the board, right? So it's good for developing sort of listening capability, isn't it? Yeah. And you identified that basketball is also receptive and a stirrer. I agree. And so any potential problems, you mentioned space is needed. Any other problems you could think of? Is it quiet or is it noisy?
It's noisy.
It's noisy, yeah, it might get noisy. So you might disturb the teacher next door who's doing her Spanish class, right? And it's and they're doing some reading or listening, so you're interrupting them. Yeah, both of those two are noisy or could be noisy. And then you have the issue of the people, what to do with the students who are out because they got it wrong in the line jumping. And what about the students who aren't throwing in the basketball, right? What do they do, right? So they're looking out of the window or, yeah, you're losing their attention. Good. So those are the two receptive ones. What about throwing a phoneme? You said that was also receptive. Why? Anna Maria and Paula, why do you say it's receptive, just receptive?
Well, at the beginning, the teacher says the sound, but the students in the end speak. So probably it's both receptive and...
Ah, yes, very good. Yes, it's both, actually. It's receptive and productive. Uh-huh. Good. Because, yeah, it involves both. Is it a stirrer or a settler? It's a settler, yes. What might be the problems?
Students need to know a lot of sounds in English.
Uh-huh.
Probably the pronunciation can be a challenge for them.
Right. It sort of assumes that they've encountered these sounds before. So if you lose the attention of individuals in the class or the whole class, then the activity is going to break down, isn't it? But you could
Okay,
try.
so
You could try as a pair work activity. It might be work. What might work better as a pair work activity than the whole class. So yeah, it's maintaining the students' attention could be difficult. All right, let's Christian, tell them about Happy Families and Odd One Out. Can you tell us what we think about Happy Families?
Okay, Happy Families, it's a productive activity because they need to ask to the others the question, have you got something beginning with? And they need to know how to sound that word, that letter. And also it's an activity, in this case, we think that it's both settler, because the students are going to be sit, and also a stirrer when they mingle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could ask the students to get up and move around, right? To try and collect their sets. Sus juegos, the 3 cards, right?
Okay. Some problems that we found, it's that when you work in teams or in groups, some students not participate at all.
Good.
And in Odd One Out, also it's productive because they need to repeat the word to know how is the difference. What is the difference? And also, like before, it could be settler and stirrer.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
And the problem, the students don't repeat the word correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Good job. So yeah, Happy Families, I would say, is productive. It's a settler probably, but you could also make it into a stirrer, depending on the group and also how competitive they are. I think you need to demonstrate the activity before with maybe a student to show them how to do it, because they won't immediately figure out how to play the game. Unless it's in Mexico, do you have a similar game like Happy Families, in which you have to collect sets of cards? Is there a similar game? Because when you're demonstrating a game, it can be useful to say, oh, it's similar to a game that you play in Spanish in Mexico, you know, like Loteria or Adivina Quién, yeah? Is there a similar game to Happy Families that children play or no? No, guess not. Maybe it's more of a British thing then. So in that case, you'd need to demonstrate physically how to play the game. All the students are not going to get it, right? Okay, so that leads us into setting up the activities. Okay, and that's what we're going to look at after the break. But I'd like you to choose one of these activities, and you've got a class of 20 primary school students. Write the procedures for setting up the activity in either a face-to-face or online classroom. Okay, so Anna Maria and Paula, which one are you going to choose?
I don't know. Happy families.
Happy families, okay. And so you two are going to work together, Paula and Anna Maria. Again, I'll give you another 6 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes to plan your procedures. And then when you come back, I want you to describe how you would set up the lesson. Write your actual steps. Yeah. Christian, which one are you going to choose? And I will help you with that.
Line jumping.
Line jumping. Yes, that would be a good one. Line jumping. Okay, so maximum 7 minutes. Try and write at least 5 steps to set up the activity. And I'll give you starting. Okay, so what instructions, procedures are we going to write for line jumping? The teacher needs to write something right on the board first.
Yes, the teacher needs to write in opposite sides 2 letters. In this case, C and D.
Okay.
Next step, they need to form a lineup in front of the board.
Uh-huh. Is it in pairs or is it single file?
That is in a single.
Uh-huh.
Step 3. The teacher set them They need to jump to the left or the right, depends the sound of the word.
Don't they need to say jump to the left if you hear?
Okay, yes. Jump to the left if you hear a
Ah,
word
t sound, right?
at this sound. Okay.
T sound at the beginning of the word, right? Because it says at the first stage is the sound is at the beginning of the word.
Yes.
If you hear the all right, so what's next?
The next could be the same step, but in this case, instead beginning, at the end.
Ah. So it's the same. But tells students at the end.
At the end.
End of the word. Okay.
And finally,
Okay. What do we do with the people that get it wrong?
oh, if they get it wrong,
Ah.
yes, what happened with the people? I think if they, in this case, make a mistake, I say that the students that are wrong, they need to repeat the word 3 times. Maybe.
Okay, but don't they have to go and stand against the wall? Yeah. And repeat the word 3 times. I mean, it's not like Squid Game. We're not going to shoot them or anything, right? But yeah, there needs to be some sort of penalty, right?
Yes.
For getting it wrong.
I think that it's
Yeah.
a punishment. The
Yeah.
correct punishment.
Yeah. All right. Good. Okay, so they're going to come back now. Let's close the rooms. Welcome back.
Yeah, Andrew, we are so slowly.
Oh, don't worry. You can improvise. So Christian, shall we tell them our activity? We'll describe the procedure for you. This is line jumping, okay? So I'll read the first line. So the teacher writes 2 columns on opposite sides of the board with t and d at the top of each column. So could you read the next instruction, please?
Okay. The teacher asks students form a line in a single file facing the board.
Okay, so can you read the next one?
Okay. Teacher tells the students jump to the left if you hear a T sound at the beginning of the word, or to the right if you hear this sound.
Okay, so we forgot to mention that T then reads out the words, right? Reads out pairs of words. And the examples given were so like tiger 2, yeah, but obviously in random order. Doesn't have to be pairs of words, right? It can just be words in random order, and they just have to jump. Okay, number 4, could you read that one?
The step number 4, it's going to be the same procedure that step number 3, but in this case, the teacher tells the student that the sound that they are going to hear, it's at the end of the word.
Okay, and if the student makes a mistake, they are out. And they have to go and stand with their backs against the wall of the classroom. And they have to repeat the word 3 times. It's a punishment. Yeah. What do you think, teacher? Anna Marie and Paula, do you think that sounds okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than yours, than us. Yes.
All right. So tell us about happy families.
We need more time.
Tell us what you've got so far.
Okay, ask a student to sit down in a circle by groups. After that, review the different sounds and pronunciation. So we give them the flashcard organized by families. Okay, and look at the picture and match them with their families. We jump some steps, like they need to ask with a specific question. Have you got say the sound or whatever, and they need to answer and collect all the happy families.
Yeah. what is the size? What are the size of the groups? Are they groups of 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Okay. Do you need to tell the students that they need to hand over the card if the other person in the group says, have you got a card? Have you got a card with the sound ch in it? Yeah, so if a student has a picture of some cheese, right, then they have to hand over the card because that's the ch sound, right? It's just sometimes the students don't realize that they have to hand over the card if the other student says, have you got, and they get it right. Yeah. Anyway, I think your instructions were sufficiently clear. All right, so I think we can pause now and have our break. We've been at it for 2 hours, so let's have a 20-minute break.